Hello and welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine for all your latest sports news and results from every corner of the world. Euro qualifiers, cycling, and some crazy people running up 82 floors. All that coming up later in the show. But we begin with tennis and the final of the women's tournament in the US Open. In one corner, it was Serena Williams, the world number one, the defending champion, with 17 Grand Slam titles under her belt and in front of her home crowd. On the other corner, Caroline Wozniacki, the world number 10, looking for her first major. How did it end? Michael Friedman with a story.
Serena Williams and Caroline Wozniacki met at the net with legendary Billie Jean King prior to the U.S. Open Finals in Flushing Meadows, New York. Williams won the last two U.S. Opens, and Wozniacki hoped for her first Grand Slam. The closest she ever got was here in New York 5 years ago when she lost the final to Kim Clijsters. Williams also hoped for success in New York after failing to make it past the fourth round at any of the three Grand Slams this year. The world number one had an excellent run coming up to the final, not dropping a set all tournament. Heading into the match, Williams had the upper hand, winning 8 of the last 9 meetings over Wozniacki. The American was all over Wozniacki in the first set and went ahead early on, winning 6-3. The 10th-seed Dane was looking stronger in the second set, but Williams would break and go up 5-3. Facing championship point, Williams looked composed and strong as Wozniacki hit a backhand long. The number one ranked player would take her third straight U.S. Open title and now join Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova after winning her 18th Grand Slam singles title.
Yes, it was definitely the number 18. I just felt, I've been trying to reach it for so long, since last year, well, since the beginning of the year, and I really didn't think I would get there, and I just felt so good. It means a lot to me, you know. I just could never have imagined that I would be mentioned with Chris Evert or with Martina Navratilova because, you know, I was just a kid with a dream and a racket and living in Compton. You know, this never happened before, and, you know, I just never could have imagined that it could have ended, not ended, I'm just beginning.
Despite an impressive tournament, Wozniacki will have to wait at least until 2015 to take her first major Grand Slam.
I think we both went out there and we were both a little nervous, and I knew that I had to take the chance from the start, and I think we both raised our level in the second set, and it was just a little too late for me, and she also went out there and she was very aggressive from the start, so she didn't really let me dictate it the way I wanted to.
Williams is now within shouting distance of the all-time women's Grand Slam record of 24 held by Margaret Smith Court. After the match, the two players will continue their friendship throughout the night.
Yeah, we're going to hang out later tonight, so I definitely will buy the drinks.
Williams would beat her Danish friend in straight sets 6-3 and 6-3, and now look to continue her success in hopes of being the all-time women's Grand Slam winner.
So, as we have seen, Serena Williams is 6 Grand Slam titles short of the all-time record holder. For some other guys, the record is already broken. American twins Mike and Bob Bryan became the first doubles pair to win 100 titles together after they beat Spain's Marcel Granollers and Marc Lopez 6-3, 6-4 in the final of the US Open. The win gave the 36-year-old brothers a first Grand Slam title of the year, and they have now won at least one Grand Slam together for 10 consecutive years. Now this is a record we may have to wait for a long time before we see it broken. So some players won titles on the court, for others the wins was off the court, especially when it comes to the most successful player in the history of women's tennis, Martina Navratilova.
We've been together for over 6 years, and I cannot imagine the rest of my life without you. So Julia Lemigala, would you please do me the honor? And one day soon, this is falling off.
No, it's not happening.
Please marry me. Please marry me. It's a yes, no, or maybe.
Not maybe.
Okay, so can we eliminate the no as well? My knee is killing me.
No.
Is this a yes? Right there. Are you shaking?
Congratulations, Martina Navratilova. Now we turn our attention to the Euro 2016 qualifiers, which got underway. The format is a bit different this time, as the games are held on successive nights instead of all on the same day. Group D was one of three that got underway. World champions Germany began the long journey, which they hope will make them European champions as well, in a home match against Scotland. Germany was in total control of the match in Dortmund, and Thomas Muller scored early on, but they still had to struggle as the Scots were able to equalize. But then came Muller to the rescue again, scoring the winner. Manager Joachim Löw is obviously happy, but he knows there are still things to work on.
I think in the first half we had absolute control of the game. We pressed our opponent widely into their defense. There were almost no chances against us, and we of course had chances to score a few more goals. Then in the middle of the second half we lost control of the game a bit. We missed some chances, and then Scotland came at us a bit more.
2 more matches were held in Group D. The Republic of Ireland got to a good start to their campaign by winning 2-1 in Georgia, and it was the first official match for Gibraltar, who is the newest member of UEFA. The tiny nation lost 7-0 to Poland, but they are very happy just with the participation. All the visiting teams won their matches in Group F. Northern Ireland did it in Hungary, Romania came back home with a victory from Greece, and Finland beat the Faroe Islands. The biggest story of the night came from Group I, where the Ronaldo-less Portugal lost at home to tiny Albania. And it was not easy for Denmark, who was trailing at home against Armenia before scoring 2 late goals and start their qualifiers with a win. Now to the games coming up tonight, and it will be interesting to see how Spain will deal with the trauma left by the World Cup when they begin their campaign in Valencia against Macedonia. They may still be the European champions, but the early exit in Brazil made everyone realize that it's time for change. Vicente Del Bosque is still the man in charge, but some of the leaders of the golden generation, like Xavi, Villa and Puyol, are already out. But don't forget, Spain are also the under-21 European champions, so there are plenty of talents that will now join the first team. One of the veterans still in the squad is Cesc Fabregas, who will now have to guide them.
Obviously, with a new generation of players, with new faces, different type of things will come into the national team. We know what we are, we know what we want to do, but obviously with different players. You cannot ask a young player to become the new Xavi Hernandez or a new striker like Paco, for example, to be the new Villa in one day. You need time, you need a lot of trainings, you need a lot of games to prove you right. And obviously when you start a new thing, you need a lot of games, you need a lot of togetherness, trainings, and we will lose, we will win, but the most important is that we are united and that we know what we want to achieve in the future. And for what I'm seeing so far, everything seems positive.
And while there is some optimism for the fans in Spain, it looks like a different story for England, especially judging by their fans. Only 40,000 of them, an all-time low for Wembley, came to watch the Three Lions in their friendly against Norway last week. They were not impressive, but they still got the win. It will be even harder tonight as they face Switzerland in Basel. And despite the atmosphere at home being rather gloomy, the new captain Wayne Rooney thinks this is a team their fans can believe in.
We want to do well. We want to come out tomorrow night with a good result, and we're ready. We've had a bit more time to prepare for this game throughout the week, and I feel we've done that well, and we're ready for the game. And so I think we're excited, looking forward to it, and it's going to be a big test. We know that, but we feel we've got the quality to do well.
And some other interesting fixtures tonight. Ukraine will host Slovakia, Montenegro will play at home against Moldova, and Austria will host Sweden in Vienna. Club football will return this weekend, and the Champions League will begin next week. As always, the big clubs are favorite in domestic and international competitions, but UEFA is trying to create a more balanced competition by forcing the big clubs to spend less money. How do they do it, and what do the teams do in response? Lise Barnbaum and Michael Friedman with a story.
The news has surprised many in the world of football. The star striker of Monaco, Radamel Falcao, was sent on loan to Manchester United. The Colombian was signed by the French club just a year ago, and now on loan to the Red Devils for €12 million, with a buying option at the end of the season. High-profile loans have become a substitute for wealthy clubs who usually buy their stars. Manchester United, Real Madrid, and AC Milan have all sent great players on loan this year as a way to deal with the financial fair rules play. Since 2011, UEFA decided to force football teams to fix their finances. Teams whose expenses exceed their revenue risk serious penalties. For instance, PSG was required in May to pay a fine of 60 million euros. And in addition to the high penalty fee, the Parisian club can only have 21 players in the Champions League squad as opposed to 25 for its competitors. The president of PSG believes this policy is unfair and does not balance the difference between larger and smaller clubs.
In my opinion, the financial fair play is not just blocking the entry of new investors in football. It also protects the big clubs because they remain the big clubs and keep the small clubs small clubs.
Most managers of big teams in Europe agree with Nasser Al-Khelaifi. Chelsea's coach, Jose Mourinho, has also denounced the injustice of the financial fair play in the press. But this year, Manchester United could be overtaken by their buying frenzy and huge payroll. With 185 million euros put into their transfer market, the English club is being watched by UEFA. The loan of Falcao is a good compromise, and without paying too much money, the Red Devils have 1 year to test his worth. For the president of PSG, the UEFA policy does not help football. For him, investing in players is not a way to do business, but simply to solidify his team.
For us, for me, there's no business here with Paris Saint-Germain players. When you buy, it's really to believe in themselves and their qualities.
The top clubs in football have not accepted the financial fair play as they continue to find ways around the rules. All of the football leaders hope for a change in policy for the 2014-2015 campaign.
I hope that next year the UEFA will change the regulation because many clubs have complained about this regulation. I hope we'll find a solution for next year.
At a time when purchases of players cost tens of millions of euros, UEFA President Michel Platini will have to tighten his sanctions to enforce the financial law.
Cycling now, and we cross to stage 15 of the Spanish Tour La Vuelta de España. It was 152 kilometers from Oviedo to Lago de Covadonga, the second of 3 mountainous stages in northern Spain. It's a grueling stage with 2 big climbs along the road. A group of 4 riders were at the top, but with 5 kilometers left, Paul Ziemislav Niemic left the competitors behind and just accelerated all the way to the finish line. With less than a week left, the fight for the leader's red jersey is boiling hot. It's still led by local Alberto Contador, but his countryman Alejandro Valverde was able to cut 11 seconds off his lead. Contador now leads by only 31 seconds. Still on bicycles, but something completely different, British riders dominated the downhill finals at the Mountain Bike World Championships in Norway this weekend. The Brits were all over the place, claiming a clean sweep of the podium in the women's event. And in the men's, G. Atherton claimed the final gold medal of the championships with a time of 3 minutes 23 seconds, 77, leaving American Neko Mulally behind and securing another top spot for the Union Jack. Still on 2 wheels, this time also with a motor. It was a historic day for the sport of motocross. 10 years after his first Grand Prix win, Italian Antonio Carioli secured his 8th World Championship title on Sunday with one round still to go. He only managed a 3rd place finish in Goiás, Brazil, but that was enough to make him untouchable at the top of the overall standings. Carioli is now the 2nd most successful rider in history. Belgian Stefan Everts has 10 titles to his name, but Carioli is only 28 years old, so don't be surprised if he catches up with Everts in just 2 years' time. Still with motorsports, and now we cross the Atlantic and introduce you to the Maximilians. The German duo of Maximilian Buch and Maximilian Götz claimed the victory at the Portuguese round of the 2014 Sprint Series, which took place in Portugal and was the 5th race of the season. This was the 2nd time the Germans got the win for Team HTP Motorsport this year. The first time was in the season opener in France. The result means that Götz now holds a 27-point lead over the closest competitors in the overall standings. Run up 82 floors, 330 meters, 2,041 steps. Sounds like fun? For some people it is. Nearly 1,000 competitors participated in the 2nd edition of China's vertical run in the World Summit Wing Hotel. This race is now part of the World Vertical Circuit, uniting some of the world's most iconic skyscrapers. Piotr Lobojinski from Poland appeared at the finish line first with a time of 10 minutes and 1 second. Australian Susie Walsham won the women's race, defending the title she won last year. And that's it for us today. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. We will be here again tomorrow, same time, same place for all your sports information. Have a beautiful day.